When I was in my early 20s, my date and I decided to go to the Sail Inn in West Sacramento to play pool. We'd been there before and enjoyed speaking with the bartender. I can't recall her name, but she was a beautiful, engaging woman. This particular night, we walked in and noticed the pool table was occupied. There was a man and woman shooting a game, so my date bought us some drinks while I watched. After a few minutes, the man noticed me and struck up a conversation with me. When my date came over with our drinks, the man asked us if we wanted to shoot a game with them. It didn't occur to me at the time that his female companion hadn't yet said anything. We said yes, so he racked up the balls, and we played against them. During the game, we introduced ourselves, and right after the man began asking me some personal questions that started to bother me, like where did I live, had my date and I been dating long, did we live together, etc. I noticed the man and his friend kept looking at each other. I became increasingly uncomfortable, even though the rest of the conversation was benign and pleasant in nature. Weirdly, the woman still hadn't said anything. When the game was over, the man asked us if we wanted to leave with him to go to another bar down the street. At first I didn't say anything. The guy asked us again, saying they discovered a cool bar not too far from where we were. My date and I looked at each other, and before he could say anything, I blurted out, "No thanks, we have dinner plans." We in fact did not have plans, but my date didn't argue with me. I think he saw the look of panic on my face. We both grabbed our jackets and got the hell out of there. By the time we walked out the door, the hair was literally standing up on the back of my neck. When we got back to my truck, my date asked me what was wrong. I told him I got a horrible feeling from those people and just knew we had to get away from them. I told him it was weird that he asked us to leave with him when he didn't check with his date first. He shrugged and said okay. I think he thought I was crazy. A few days later, when I opened up the afternoon paper, there was an article in there about a woman from West Sacramento who'd been found murdered. I didn't think anything of it until I got to the page where the article was continued, and the picture of the woman practically leapt off the page at me. It was the beautiful bartender from the Sail Inn. Apparently she'd been kidnapped, raped, and killed the very night I was there with my date. I was totally creeped out and thought what a crazy coincidence that was, and how sad it was that she had died so horribly. It wasn't until a month or so later that I realized why I had gotten so upset that night. A man and woman had just been arrested for the bartender's murder, along with the murders of several other people, four of whom were couples. There on the front page of the Sacramento Bee were the pictures of the killers, Gerald and Charlene Gallego, the very couple who invited my date and I to go with them to another bar. And apparently, this was one of the ruses they used to get their victims into their van. My heart did flip-flops in my chest as I read the article. Not only have we been targeted as their next serial killer victims, when we turned them down, they selected another target because of me. I have lived with both relief and guilt all my life because of this. Intellectually, I know it's not my fault the bartender died, but I've always wondered how different the world would have been had she been able to live out her life, even though I would have been gone myself. Needless to say, that was the end of my bar day experiences for a long, long, long time. Postscript, I just found out Charlene Gallego has been living in Sacramento under an assumed name. Apparently she was paroled there after serving her prison term. She has been making amends for her horrors by performing works of charity. Gerald Gallego died in prison before he could be executed. I know good old Jerry got what he deserved, but I'm not sure how I feel about Charlene living as a free woman. She claimed on the stand to have been manipulated by Jerry, which is why she went along with the killing spree. Maybe that's why she never said anything in the bar. Maybe she was under his complete control, so much so that she couldn't even speak in public. I would love to have a private chat with her. I was a young man living in the north of England, Yorkshire. ID just started dating a girl from Leeds a good few miles away from me. I was pretty engrossed with this girl, She was my first, so subsequently I missed the last bus home and had to walk. Her family were dead against me spending the night. So off I set. It was around 11 p.m. and I lived about 7 miles away, so I had at least an hour's walk home. I started thumbing a lift. There wasn't much traffic, but I lived in hope. I'd been walking for about 20 minutes when I heard a car in the distance behind me. I stuck out my thumb and prayed. The car stopped. The front passenger door popped open. I should explain I had fairly long hair back then and wore it in a ponytail. So I climb into this car and the driver just stares at me for a good 10 seconds. His first sentence was, "I thought you were a girl." Which wasn't quite as wired as it sounds, but he did seem to be a bit peeved a spotty teenage lad got in his car instead of a girl. He asked where I was off to, so I told him it was the next village. It was on his way and wasn't a problem. Quick 10-minute car journey. Anyway, he started chatting about mundane stuff, football mainly. Then he asked if I had a girlfriend and had I fucked her tonight. With that, he tried to grab my hand, laughing and asking to sniff my fingers. I was getting really freaked out at this. I was quite a naive young lad back then. He then proceeded to tell me about his last girlfriend and how he'd raped her because she wouldn't give him sex. I tell you, all I wanted to do was get the fuck out of that car. My village was fast approaching and my road end. I asked him to stop and drop me off. Which, thankfully, is what he did. As I got out, he said, "You're a lucky lad. There's a lot of nasty bastards out there who'd have robbed you and took you for a ride." I mumbled my thanks and legged it home like the devil was chasing me. I was so bloody scared. 3 weeks later on the national news, I saw the bloke who gave me a lift. He was charged with the rape and murder of several young women around my area. His name was Peter Sutcliffe. He's still in prison and he was the reason I stopped hitchhiking. My name is Mila, and I never imagined that I would be the target of a serial killer. I had always heard stories about murderers, but I never thought it would happen to me. It all started one night when I was walking home from a party. I had a little too much to drink and didn't want to drive, so I decided to walk the few blocks back to my apartment. As I was walking, I heard footsteps behind me. At first, I thought it was just someone else heading home, but the footsteps started to get closer and closer. I turned around, but I couldn't see anyone in the darkness. I started to walk faster, my heart pounding in my chest. That's when I heard his voice. "Hey there, beautiful," he said. I froze, my heart racing. I could feel his eyes on me, even though I couldn't see him. I tried to keep walking, but he stepped in front of me, blocking my path. "You shouldn't be walking alone at night," he said. "It's dangerous." I tried to step around him, but he grabbed my arm, pulling me closer to him. "Don't worry," he said, his voice low and menacing. "I'll keep you safe." That's when I saw the glint of the knife in his hand. I tried to run, but he was too fast. He tackled me to the ground, the knife pressed against my throat. I screamed, but no one came to help me. I was alone with him, and I knew that I was going to die. But he didn't kill me. Instead, he whispered in my ear, telling me how beautiful I was and how much he wanted me. He kept me captive for days, torturing me and forcing me to do things I never thought I would have to do. And all the while, he kept telling me that he loved me, that he was doing this for us. I managed to escape eventually, but the scars that he left on me will never heal. I still look over my shoulder every time I'm out alone at night, and I still have nightmares about him. But the worst part is that I know he's still out there, somewhere, waiting for his next victim.